Hi everyone, welcome back. It's a Monday, it's another academic video, and this one is all about management, and specifically management of staff in a university versus in industry. So hi, if you're new, welcome to the channel. My name is Caroline. I'm a UK-based university academic. This is a requested video, so please do keep leaving the comments. I love reading your comments below these videos, but this one is all about management and some of the differences and similarities you might face as a staff member if you're being managed within a university structure versus an industry structure. Now, as always, a bit of a disclaimer. I am a UK-based physics lecturer, so my experience is within the STEM sector, so science, technology, engineering and mathematics. So it'll be interesting in the comments to find out if you've experienced the same, maybe in different research areas. I spent a number of years working in industry after finishing my PhD. I worked both as a scientist in industry and then worked my way up the ranks and managed a team of people in industry. And then I came back into academia as a lecturer. And actually I'm now obviously being managed within academia by somebody, and I'm also an academic manager myself. And management between academia and industry will have some slight differences. And in part, it is going to depend a little bit on the type of industry you might find yourself working in. Wow! Come on. By that I mean whether you're working for a big company, a small company, whether you are working for a company that has lots of offices in different parts of the world, or whether you're working maybe for a much smaller setup with only a small number of employees, or all based at the same location. In my case, when I joined industry, so this was after my PhD, I joined a large organisation, and actually whilst I was there, the way I was managed changed. So after my PhD, I worked at a company for a number of years. I started off by being a scientist and then worked up the ranks, senior scientist, etc. And I also worked up the management ranks. So I started off being a scientist within a team, and I had, I guess, what you would call the traditional line management. So I had a line manager who not only tasked my kind of everyday technical activity, so what I was up to technically for the company, but that line manager was also responsible for my human resources, so kind of like my pay sheets, time cards, can't get the words out, annual leave, the day-to-day kind of stuff I needed to do in order to make sure I was functioning within the company requirements. But yeah, as a line manager, they had both the kind of the pastoral care alongside the technical tasking of me as an individual within the company. And as I worked my way up the ranks, I took on a team. So I became the team leader and the technical leader for a group of scientists. And that meant that I took on that line management role. So I had some direct reports. So these are people that directly reported to me within the management structure. And again, I was responsible for making sure that they all had sufficient technical tasking that was the right level of complexity for their different career stages, and they were appropriately tasked based on their particular skill sets. But I also then had to keep an eye on like the time cards, the appraisals, making sure that people were taking holiday. Scientists often don't take holiday. We seem to love working. So making sure that people were taking annual leave. I had both the technical side of management and this kind of the line management, the kind of the care, pastoral care side as well. Now, whilst I was at the company, it actually changed, and it went from having this kind of line manager kind of linear model into something called matrix management. Now, I'm not sure if you're new to the term matrix management. Essentially, it means that you have multiple bosses. So I had one manager for technical and one manager for the kind of the line management, human resources, day-to-day kind of running of my job. And for me as a scientist, there's definitely pros and cons to working within a matrix managed organisation. So, on the one hand, the matrix management is designed to create sort of almost a tension between your line manager, who's making sure that you have enough tasks, and then the technical manager, who's actually giving you the technical nitty gritties of what you're going to be doing, each week, each month, for however long. And sometimes they separate out the budget holder. So, sometimes you'll have the person who holds the money to do these tasks as a separate manager. And that means that you can't just have one person say, yes, this task's important, and putting somebody on it and tasking them up to do it, and having all the money to say, yes, go ahead and do that task. By having multiple people involved in the project, naturally through matrix management, it does create a bit of what supposedly is healthy tension to make sure that projects are cost effective and accountable and are using appropriate resourcing. So within the structure, I also had a project manager. And so as a technical scientist, I needed to report into that project manager both my own technical output, but also because I was the technical lead for the team, the technical lead, I also needed to give the technical output of the team. So, where were we on budget? Were we on track with our costs? Were the projects likely to deliver within the expected timescales? Had any of our experiments caused any problems? Had software caused any problems? Were we on schedule to meet our milestones, our key events for our customer deliverables? All of that I would report both to the project manager, but also to the technical manager. And the technical manager would be interested in terms of actually the technical output and whether we were satisfying the requirements of the customer, whilst the project manager would be interested in whether I was making those projects happen within the cost envelope that I'd been set and to the timescales that we've been requested to do the work. So yeah, in industry, you can find yourself being managed in any number of ways, and it will depend in part on the type of job that you're doing and the organisation that you're within. And as I said, I've had both the traditional kind of line management where one person is your technical tasking and does all your time cards and everyday stuff. But I've also had experience now of this matrix managed structure where then several people are part of my reporting framework, and I report to different managers based on different aspects of my job role. Wow! Come on. So when I moved to academia, I was quite interested to see how this was all going to change. And what I found in academia is that obviously you still have a manager. And in my case, my line manager is now the head of department. And again, this is going to vary from, department to department, university to university. Within my department, I'm the admissions tutor. And that means I'm part of something that we call the Senior Physics Management Group. And so we meet to help work out, the kind of the day-to-day running and the structure and bits and pieces within the department. And so because of that role and that position, I therefore report directly to the head of department. However, I could, as a lecturer within the university, have reported to my research group lead. So in my department, all of us as academics, we are put into these research groups based on our interests. I can talk more about this in a future video. But essentially, I am in a research group with 3 professors, a senior lecturer and myself. And one of the professors is our research group lead. Now, they would have been my line manager had I not been the admissions tutor and had this role on the senior management committee. But that person then does line manage other people within the research group. And the role of the line manager at the university is a bit different because when you're an academic, so I'm a lecturer within the university, I am very responsible for securing my own research funding, running my own team of PhD students, and making sure I'm doing my teaching, making sure that I've got suitable projects for MSc students and BSc students. It's not like I'm receiving tasking from the university in terms of you must do this and you must do that. Yes, I'm receiving my teaching tasks. I'm told which courses I need to teach on. And yes, I get my timetable for when to teach on those events. But in terms of the research, part of the beauty of being an academic is that I've got this research freedom. And so really it's up to me to write these research grant applications, to get funding and to be able to support the kind of research that I want to do within the university structure. So I do have a line manager at the university. They are obviously checking that I am doing my teaching. But I find also the line manager is very much within the university quite a supportive position. They're there to make sure that you're progressing through your university career and that you're able to take opportunities and that you're aware of things that are happening within the university that might help or facilitate your career or your research further. And then in terms of reporting the technical project work, I don't tend to do that necessarily within the department or the faculty, because my research funding quite often is going to come from outside of the university, because I'll be funded by either a research council or by an industry or by a third party. So whereas in industry I was reporting to these project managers about the outputs of the team, in academia I'm reporting the kind of the research goals and outputs and the project outputs, if you like, to project managers, but they are based outside of the university within the research councils, organisations and within industries and other companies. So there are some slight differences in how I'm actually reporting my work and the way about I do actually report my work physically. Within industry, I used to go to a regular meeting, once every couple of weeks and reporting what was happening. Within academia, I'm working to the timescales of my funding providers. And some of them might want me to give them an update every 6 months. Some of them might want an update every month. I need to accommodate those timescales when I'm putting in my projects, because they are the people who are funding the research, both of my PhD researchers and myself. So essentially in academia and in industry, you are line managed. You do have somebody who is your line manager, and they are involved within the appraisal process, making sure that you're taking your annual leave. They're your point of contact if you're unwell or if you're not able to fulfill your obligations and your responsibilities of your job. But for me, within industry, I existed within this matrix managed organisation. So I also reported to technical managers and to project managers. Whilst in academia, I'm finding that the line management is there, obviously, but my project management and my technical management is outside of the university really at the moment. Yes, sometimes it's inside the university. If I've got funding for a project that came from within the university faculty, then I'll report into the faculty system. But quite often, if my funding is external to the university, I'm reporting my outputs and my project outputs externally to that particular organisation. Wow, that's an awful lot of management chat. But this video is probably already too long. So let me know in the comments, do you have a very easy, streamlined management system? Is your management system very complicated where you are? Are you a manager? Do you want to be a manager? Leave me a comment, let me know. As always, look after yourselves, have a really good week. I will do a future video about being a manager at some point, maybe in a few weeks' time when this one's had time to digest and not too much more on the management side of things. But yeah, have a good week. Semester is ticking along. We are rapidly approaching our summer at the university, so there'll be some fun, summary research activities coming up and graduations coming up again soon. But in the meantime, take care, stay safe, and I will see you next Monday. Bye.